An excellent example of a tourist town that is managed sustainably, that applies socioeconomic, socioculture, and environmental sustainability is Virginia City, Montana. In 1863, gold was discovered in Alder Gulch, spurring a gold rush. The township of Virginia City was formed and flourished for a time. People from all over the world came to seek their fortunes. As quickly as it started, the gold dried up. People left, but the town remained. In 1944, Charles and Sue Bovey visited Virginia City. The Boveys spent the next 50 years restoring, building, and attracting tourists to Virginia City. Virginia City has an average of 100 year-round residents. During the summer tourist season, that number goes up to 300, with seasonal, mostly college-age workers, employed to help sustain the tourist trade. The socio-cultural atmosphere in Virginia City has always been inclusive to include all residents of the city. Their cooperation and participation has helped Virginia City thrive. Over 100,000 tourists visit Virginia City annually. The Opera House was restored, and today the Virginia City Players give performances of various vaudeville-type shows 3 to 5 times a week during the tourist season. The upper socioeconomic class is a factor for Virginia City, as most activities carry a price. This class may have more resources to buy all the goods or services offered. But there is something for everyone in Virginia City. A walk down the street can take you back to a day that is frozen in time and costs nothing but the effort of taking that walk. Aside from walking, environmentally friendly modes of transportation are a stagecoach or a 2-mile small railroad ride between Virginia City and Nevada City, or a 35-minute historic tour of the town on board a 1941 fire truck. Environmental sustainability can be seen through recycling and trash receptacles spread throughout the town. In 1997, the Montana Heritage Commission purchased the Bovey Restoration property. The goal is to manage and sustain the property to preserve the historical significance while managing and developing the town in such a way that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. These goals continue today. This past summer, the historic building, the Stonewall Hall, began a $2 million restoration project. The sustainability of Virginia City, Montana over the past 140 years is a testament to socio, cultural, and environmental sustainability practices. Pijak Bumi is a shoe brand from Bandung, emphasizing environmentally friendly concepts in every product it makes. Roland Asfalis is the founder of the brand of Pijak Bumi. He remembers his first foray into the world of shoes. Quote, "It started when shoes were lost in a boarding house in the Tamansari area, Bandung City," unquote, said the man who is familiarly called Follies to Compass.com recently. Finding his shoes missing, Follies was pensive. He then walked to the Sibiduyu Shoe Center. His intention was to buy leather shoes, but he couldn't because of the high price. He returned to his boarding room empty-handed. Starting the business in 2016, Pijak Bumi started without ever thinking about setting up an environmentally friendly business. Initially, Pijak Bumi prioritized making shoes made from vegetable tanned cowhide, where in the coloring process, leather tanners used plant tannins, not chromium dye. As time goes by, it turns out that using vegetable leather material is also not an environmentally friendly solution. One reason is because they still use dangerous substances. Vegetable tanning also requires a lot of water. In fact, in other parts of Indonesia, many people still complain about the lack of clean water supply. Not to mention that vegetable leather craftsmen are paid below the regional minimum wage, UMR. From there, Pijak Bumi began to improve after validating it with literature leading to sustainability, by creating a circular business model from upstream to downstream. Unfortunately, as a result of this, internal management reshuffled. Many of them have fallen out one by one. The reason is because each individual wants to focus on being business-oriented rather than having to start an environmentally friendly business. Pijak Bhumi uses environmentally friendly raw materials such as water hyacinth, coconut shells, quinoa fiber, and recycled cotton.
Moving on to Washington State, when talking about tourism, most people would think about urban environments such as Seattle, Bellevue, or maybe even Tacoma. I think of a city too if someone was telling me about their state. For example, if someone were to say, "Oh, California has so much natural beauty." LA is f***ing disgusting. "But we have so much national parks." That's literally just LA. This might be what you're thinking too, because my example is also a national park, more specifically, the Olympic National Park in West Washington. If you haven't heard of Olympic National Park, it's in the Olympic mountain range, right above Olympia, and the tallest mountain is also Mount Olympus. The Olympic Forest Reserve was established in 1897 and transferred to the Forest Service as Olympic National Forest in 1907. Mount Olympus was declared a national monument in 1909 and was designated as Olympic National Park in 1938 by Franklin D. Roosevelt. Today, many of the buildings and guard stations built by the forest are now managed by the park. 95% of the park, or 922,651 acres, are congressionally designed wilderness. The park also has over 3,000 miles of rivers and streams. It has 60 named glaciers, over 1,200 native plants, at least 16 kinds of endemic animals and 8 kinds of endemic plants, 20 reptile and amphibian species, 37 native fish species, 300 bird species, 56 mammal species, including 24 marine mammal species, 22 species listed as threatened or endangered under the Endangered Species Act. The park has at least 650 archaeological sites, 4 certified and 27 potential cultural landscapes, 130 historic structures, nearly 500,000 museum objects, 1 archaeological site eligible for National Historic Landmark status. This site is a Ozette site, or Ozette site, I don't know which one. And there's also 611 miles of trail. The park has been able to maintain all of this data due to their good management. The park is managed by the National Park Service, which is a government agency for the whole United States, not just Olympic National Park. For having an annual budget of $3.265 billion a year, the park really takes that money and reinvests all of it into all the parks across the United States. They have a website that logs and reports on all sorts of different findings and facts someone may be searching for. You can search for anything and they'll have thousands of results just waiting for you from all across the years. At Olympic National Park, staff and volunteers work together as a team, creating opportunities for visitor enjoyment while striving to always manage the park's resources so that they will remain unimpaired for future generations, unimpaired naturally and economically. Matter of fact, a new National Park Service report shows that 2.4 million visitors to Olympic National Park in 2022 spent $228 million in communities near the park. The report also says that the spending supported 2,450 jobs in the local area and had a cumulative benefit on the local economy of $320 million. And that's 2022 alone. Olympic National Park has had an average of 2,913,605 visitors a year since 1968. The Olympic National Park staff released a statement saying, "We recognize that this tourism is a critical driver to the local economy, bringing 2,450 jobs and $320 million in revenue to our communities." Moving on to the social and cultural sustainability of Olympic National Park, I would like to first go over the definition. Socio-cultural sustainability is the way we as a nation ensure the well-being of our community by recognizing, developing, and sustaining basic human needs like human rights, equality, health, culture, and religion now and into the future. Olympic National Park has a website that recognizes the history of the park dating back to the 1800s, forever immortalizing it digitally. Throughout the park's diverse landscape, there is an array of cultural and historic sites that tell the human story of the park. There's more than 650 sites that document 12,000 years of human occupation of the Olympic National Park lands. Historic sites reveal clues about the 200-year-old history of exploration, homesteading, and community development in the Pacific Northwest, as well as continuing evolution of the federal preservation ethic. To this day, historical structures can still be seen at the park. Since its inception, the National Park Service has become a world leader in protecting natural and cultural resources and serving as a role model for sustainable resource management. The sustainability successes are the result of initiatives at all levels of the agencies, who are all vital to implementing sustainable practices service-wide. The park has a plethora of environmental management acts that it is taking on, and it will be too long to list here, so I recommend their website if you want to learn more about the programs here.